Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, February 6th. This is Gina Palma. Over the past 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation move across the Great Basin. Largely has been above normal for parts of the Sierra into far western Nevada and over parts of southern Nevada and southwest Utah, with generally near to below normal precipitation over the rest of the Great Basin. If we look at the last 72 hours for snowfall, you can see where the new snowfall has impacted the Great Basin in the image on the left, especially in the Sierra with the storm that moved through, bringing a few feet of new snow in the higher elevations, and also several inches up to a foot of snow in some foothill elevations and lower elevations as well. We've also seen new snow accumulation over much of Nevada, up into Idaho and parts of Utah. Looking at our snow depth, the image on the right, you can see the highest snow depth is really over the Sierra, but we still have a good to decent snowpack over much of the higher terrain of Utah and up into the northern side of the Great Basin. Looking at our snowpack, you can see most areas in the green are near normal, so we are seeing near to just above normal snowpack for most of the Great Basin. We are seeing now snowpack above 130% of normal over parts of the Sierra due to the most recent storm that has moved through, and only parts of the central Idaho mountains are seeing just below normal snowpack. But really, much of the Great Basin is doing fairly well with regard to snowpack so far this year. Our satellite loop from this morning shows our cold storm system now tracking over the central areas of the Great Basin, today bringing the most accumulating snowfall. Some will be very heavy at times over parts of Utah, especially in the higher terrain. Otherwise, cold and breezy winds remain over the western side of the Great Basin, with temperatures well below normal for the time of year. Looking at the weather pattern for later this afternoon, again, that storm system will continue tracking eastward, bringing snow to the eastern half of the Great Basin, and cold temperatures and breezy conditions elsewhere. We will continue with this northwest wind across much of the area behind the storm system. This will help keep dispersion very high across the area, especially across Nevada and into southwest Idaho. Looking at our transport winds, you can see these breezy winds at the mid and higher elevations, generally in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range over much of the Great Basin, and also mixing heights will remain relatively high over the southern half of the Great Basin and a little bit lower or to more moderate range over the northern half of the area. As we move into Thursday, this storm system exits the area. However, we have another area of low pressure well off the west coast, which will impact the Great Basin later this week. In the meantime, on Thursday, we will see drier conditions, and also we will see some valley inversions develop with poor dispersion across many areas of the Great Basin. The only exception Thursday will be eastern Utah, which is still under the influence of that exiting area of low pressure with breezy northwest winds. And you can see on the transport winds, these gusty winds at mainly the higher elevations of Utah on Thursday, with lighter winds over the rest of the Great Basin and generally poor mixing heights. As we move into Friday, this next system moves into northern California. So later in the day on Friday, we'll see precipitation start to redevelop in the Tahoe Basin and into far western Nevada with more cloud cover in the north, but this system will continue tracking eastward through the weekend. We may see some areas improve with respect to dispersion on Friday over parts of southern Nevada and western Idaho, but for the most part, poor dispersion is expected generally area-wide. On Friday, we will start to see those winds increase a little bit in the higher elevations as that storm approaches, with still generally low mixing heights. If we look at the precipitation over the next 3 days, we can generally see today the impact of the snowfall moving across Utah, and then as we move into later in the day on Friday, we'll see that precipitation return, pushing in from the west to the Sierra and into far western Nevada and central Idaho. As we go through the weekend, that storm system tracks eastward, and we will see precipitation move across the Great Basin, especially in the north. We will continue to see good dispersion on Saturday as that storm system tracks eastward and keeps those winds a little breezier at the higher elevations. As we move into Sunday, that low continues tracking towards the northern areas of the Great Basin. Again, we'll see mainly cloud cover and showers in the far north, but we potentially later in the day on Sunday could see some showers impacting southern areas of the Great Basin. Again, we'll continue to see fairly good dispersion for the time of year on Sunday. As we move through Sunday night and Monday is when the precipitation will move over far southern areas and across the eastern half of the Great Basin. Again, ventilation index will remain high across the region as that storm system tracks across the Great Basin. On Tuesday, we will see that first system exit again, and we will see another area of low pressure approach the west coast. This will spread mainly cloud cover across the area on Tuesday, but we will see another return of some precipitation. We will see the dispersion decrease a little bit on Tuesday, but still remain fairly good in some of the areas that continue to see breezy winds over parts of central areas of the Great Basin. If you look at the precipitation for days 4 and 5, this takes us from Saturday through Monday, and you can see most of the precipitation with that next system this weekend will impact the northern half to 2/3 of the Great Basin, but southern areas will certainly at least see some cloud cover and maybe a few showers. But again, the heavier precipitation confined to the Sierra, over parts of northwest Nevada and up into central Idaho. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.